Hi, folks. Amri here. Hope you're well. The question that I have for today is, how do I know which areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion my company should focus on first? Now, I imagine if we could answer this question simply, all of our organizations would, respective organizations would have sorted this diversity, equity, and inclusion thing out already. And we aren't there yet. So like most things related to organizations, it's complex. That said, if I was to give a rubric or a few parts to what I would choose to do first, I would do it like this. First of all, I would say part one of my answer is to ask, how do we make diversity, equity, and inclusion accessible, actionable, and sustainable? What that means, accessible means to everyone, that this is relevant, that everybody sees themselves inside of the diversity, equity, and inclusion paradigm. So that's one. The second one is around actionable. When we say actionable in building an inclusion system within my organization, it means that it's unambiguously prioritized. It's communicated in a way that people understand how it fits into what the organization's priorities are, why the organization is doing and putting diversity, equity, and inclusion as a critical part of its culture, as a critical part of its ability to perform and deliver on its mission. And then thirdly, it's sustainable, meaning it's aligned with organizational purpose. And what I mean by that is organization's purpose, it can't just be about profit, full stop. And if it is, and if they are, if we can look at what companies that have done that historically have created, we know that that's not sustainable. So purpose is about who we are, our reason for being, beyond just our bottom line, but our top line, our multi-lines, our various lines, our ability to make impact beyond profit, but really get into making impact in a positive way in the places where we do business, where our people live, and the mission that we serve. So that's one, accessible, actionable, and sustainable. Part two is you need to engage in dialogues about what's enabling and can better enable that which makes your organization extraordinary. Do you know what makes your people thrive? Do you know what creates this, greater value, or what we call generative organizational culture? And having dialogues about what can create that, what enables that, and what can actually amplify it, and get that from your people, because otherwise it really won't make sense and you won't bring people along. Part three of this answer is try stuff out, experiment, meaning you can't do everything. And I think I've seen this too many times, is people have a strategy or they have an approach. It's like, let's put everything on it and do everything. And so, or they're reacting to what's happening at the current moment, which in some cases is appropriate. So with George Floyd, for example, we had to address racism because it was such a big bounding conversation, but we probably did it a little hastily in some cases, and we didn't build in the sustainability from the outset. So we couldn't really, going back to part one of this answer, we couldn't make it accessible to everyone. We couldn't consistently make it actionable, and it definitely couldn't be sustained because it wasn't necessarily built into the organizational purpose, at least not at that moment. So if we want something to be sustained, we experiment with it. We go back to see if it's accessible, actionable, and sustainable, meaning we always go back to part one. And then from there, we learn and we measure and we tell stories and we do more experiments. So that is my point: accessible, actionable, and sustainable. 1, 2, from the hearts and the embodied lived experiences of your people, understanding what makes you extraordinary and what can amplify that. And 3, experiment, try things out, measure it, go back to the drawing board of part one after you do so. So I hope that was helpful. And don't forget to buy my book, Reconstructing Inclusion, Making DEI Accessible, Actionable, and Sustainable. You can find it on my LinkedIn page or at our website at inclusionwins.com. Take care. Make it a great day. Peace.